Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2020. I'm Alice. I'm joined by LS here as Hanwha Life fall to the hands of Griffin, our team that have locked down last place in the LCK. They aren't going anywhere, but they will be able to go out with a bang if they take down Hanwha Life in game number 2 as well. There was an unfortunate pause, but thankfully things occurred in the same way that they were looking like they were going in before the pause happened.
Yeah, and I mean, so Hanwha Life, that's obviously a really unfortunate situation to get into, and the way that it came out of it actually benefited them, but did not seem to matter at the end of the day, as Viper will pick up the player of the game vote, 600 points, 6-0 and 4 on the Varus.
And close to 40% of his team's damage as well. The guy did a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah. As it says, Trundle has reconnected in the middle of the team.
Don't worry, he disconnected again after that, because most of Hanwha Life didn't look very connected during the end of this game.
That was really sad, watching the Varus just auto and shoot down an arm. There was something really, really depressing about that.
Yeah. It's not supposed to happen, actually.
Yeah, this is pretty much it.
Zizlahens being spared as a former teammate of Griffin. 9 out of 9 of the votes go over to Viper. Not a very difficult decision this time around. What they didn't put in those stats that we looked at were his CS numbers. He was farming like you would not believe. An agriculturalist in harvest season. Absolutely.
Well, at this point, we're going into the second game here. Griffin probably feeling very comfortable coming off of that win. And we have a substitution. It's going to be Untara out and Sword coming in the top lane. And you know what this means?
I'd say bringing out the big guns, but it's a Sword. So it doesn't really make sense, does it? But what does it mean, LS? What does it mean?
Well, it means R1 Ornn.
Does.
Have truer words ever been spoken, honestly?
Nope. Yep, you've made a truer out of everyone, I think, with that particular statement.
I do think so myself, thank you. Not trying to toot my own horn, but...
No. That's all right. You have well and truly said a very simple statement to make about a Griffin team composition that does involve Sword playing the game. But we'll see whether this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, Untara did give away that 1v2 kill. It was, of course, Tarzan falling down, but, takes 2 to tango up towards that top side of the map. So we'll see whether Sword has a better time up against Cuvée. 2 players with, in my mind, similar play styles, but I feel like Cuvée has had a few more of those pop-off moments this season than Sword's had. And Sword still has that weird feeling of disconnect with the rest of his team in some of those moments. So we'll see whether he is able to get himself a little bit more coordinated with this team, which they're going to need going into the promo tournament.
Well, we'll see what they can do here in game number 2, because I'd like to see something more unorthodox. I would really like for the climax of this series to be something fun in the LCK.
Yeah, me too.
Take it away. Back over to you.
All right, well, here we are into the draft. Hanwha Life now on our blue side, Griffin on the red. And Hanwha probably recognizing a change of name towards the top side and maybe recognizing that, there we go.
Well, all right, so in game number 3...
The jig is up, ladies and gentlemen.
Game 3.
Oh,
Griffin might want to make another sub out for Hoya.
It's been a while since you've been able to ban a player, but Hanwha Life, they figured out how to do it. No, that's not true. They need to ban Jace as well, and then they've banned the player. As Sword did actually have a decent game on Jace last time we saw him. I don't know whether they won, but Griffin hasn't been doing a lot of winning. It is Gragas. It's going to be banned away here last for Hanwha Life, as there has been no AD carries apart from the Varus taken off the board, so Kalista, Senna, and the Aphelios are still available.
Well, Yuumi will be banned away last by Griffin.
And the Taric is still up. Aphelios will be traded for Kalista Taric, you have to assume. Don't know whether that's necessarily worth it for Hanwha Life, but we'll see what they have in mind as far as countering out this lane. It might be the Morgana pickup or something like that to go alongside Vista. Vista, one of our better Aphelioses here in the LCK, certainly did have some early games on the champion that were very good. But there's that Kalista like we were talking about, and of course Taric is going to come down as well. Certainly feeling the need to lock in that Taric as a priority pick these days, because it's not just a Kalista exclusive champion. You could certainly run it with the Aphelios just fine.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that I think will start happening more and more, especially maybe as we come back into summer, because interestingly enough, Taric isn't on the chopping block. It doesn't seem like. As 10-8 came out, Taric didn't get hit. No indirect nerfs seemingly on the horizon, which means that he could still very well be in the meta. And as Griffin open, with the Kalista Taric R1, R2, Hanwha Life are picking champions that sort of run into them.
Yeah,
there's
the Akali is very strange.
Yeah, the Akali coming out so early is also bizarre because neither Lava nor Cuvee screams Akali to me.
No.
That's the wrong ninja. I think they were looking for Shen, maybe? Maybe Shen
yeah, that's a
would be
Lehens champion.
A little bit
different.
more the
If they
speed.
picked up Lehens, it would 100% be... picked up Shen, it would 100% be Lehens. As the Trundle's going to be banned away, I actually found it very curious that Hanwha Life didn't lock in Trundle Braum. That would have made way more sense. But not going to happen. And Griffin are, of course, going to ban that one away. Tarzan also curiously prioritizing the Jarvan over the Trundle. And now we'll see exactly where Hanwha Life are going to go with their bans. I am assuming that Griffin are going to lock away Jace as their next pickup. But the Galio has already been banned, trying to deny that Jarvan Galio Cataclysmic Entrance synergy. Is Griffin thinking about which next jungler is going to be playing? And Sejuani off the board.
Sejuani, yep, does get banned away. You know what makes me sad is that we're not seeing champions like Graves, who's actually really good into Jarvan. We're not seeing him. We have seen Graves actually twice now into Trundle here in the LCK, but I feel like Graves should actually be a lot higher priority than he is in his current state. Especially if you have AP mid, AP top, which a lot of drafts do end up having going on. And some of the recent weeks, as Rumble is going to be locked in for Griffin, and that's going to be a flex mid and top champion, although UCal does have an affinity for it.
Sword as well. I mean, it is one of the champions that he has played so far in the LCK. Success or no. Is now Hanwha Life thinking about what they want to answer with. Haru considering this Sylas could, of course, be mid lane, as looks like that is going to be the case, as we're flexing the Sylas around. We'll see where these champions are going to be going, as Sylas and Akali very flexible with their positioning on the map. But our bot side will be the Aphelios Braum, and we will have Rek'Sai in the jungle. As, I don't know, I think that Sword could pick up Jace here if he would like to. But it looks like it is going to be Rumble towards the top side of the map, as UCal once again brings out his Zoe that he did find success on in the last match that they played.
So he's picking the Zoe here as a means to take it mid lane, because that's one of Sylas's rougher matchups. But the problem is that the Akali is also flexible into mid. So no matter what, we're going to have AP top, AP mid. And remember, I said Graves for Hanwha Life would have actually been a really good spot. If you could just imagine Rek'Sai being Graves here, his range, his smoke screen, how it interacts with the Griffin team composition, probably be a lot better than Rek'Sai would be, because Rek'Sai doesn't want to run into Rumble, Taric, Kalista, Zoe, Jarvan. Even though Rek'Sai beats Jarvan in a vacuum, he does not have a fun time going into any of the other 4 champions. He'll get Zoe bubbled, Taric ultimate's a problem, Kalista's going to kite him for days, defensive Rumble ultimate's really problematic, but Graves can bypass that with his range, with smokescreen, with R. So this is one of those examples of the LCK gets very stale in their draft. They instantly default to another physical damage champion, but champions like Kindred and like Graves just completely absent in their mind. And so Hanwha Life here, with a very brawlery team composition, I feel like it has a lot of strength inside of it, even early on with that Rek'Sai, but some of the gank setups are going to be really hard. And in the later stages, they can't really itemize all that well, even though there's essentially 4 magic damage champions on the side of Griffin.
And having a look at the moment through what Haru has been playing, there isn't any Graves in his match history, so it might just be the fact that he's not very confident on the pick at this particular moment in time. Of course, a lot of these players do have multiple accounts that they like to hide their champion picks on, but it looks like Haru has not been delving into the realm of Graves very recently. Of course, Haru famous for playing things like Rengar back in the day, so the Graves playstyle certainly feels like something that he would feel pretty comfortable in. But not going to be happening this time around. The Rek'Sai coming forward. And his last Rek'Sai game, he went 10-2-8. So, you know, not bad.
Not bad at all. So we'll see what he can end up doing here in this game. As we take a look at the runes, Rek'Sai, even with the celerity, is... This is one of those things where I really do wonder if they go in and do the math and then also assess the situations where the rune is active. Because obviously the celerity, the way that it ends up working out is bonus movement speed is increased, right? And then I believe it gives you a flat 1%. I believe that's the way it works. So obviously the only synergy there is going to be with Nimbus Cloak because no one else on his team grants him MS.
True. However, you are going to be able to build up a fair bit of it. Doesn't have water walking or anything like that, so it's not like it's going to be benefiting the Rek'Sai in the river or any craziness such as that. But I don't know. We'll see what Haru's going to build. Might be, you know, Swifty boots for ultimate celerity value. Potentially. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
So... Nimbus Cloak will eventually build up to giving you like 20-25% bonus movement speed in the mid game, right? So that's going to give you 100, right? So that'll give you 100 extra MS, but celerity only increases that by 7%. So am I missing something here in that it gives you 7 MS?
Not sure.
1/4 of a tier 1 boot, like... Is that necessary? Do you know what I mean, Alice? I don't know.
Yeah.
We're seeing it a lot more.
I mean,
and
movement speed is a very, very valuable stat, right? Being able to stick to a target, all that sort of stuff, landing auto attacks, things like that. Like, it is valuable, and it is something that's really hard to sort of quantify.
Yeah.
However, I don't know whether the celerity value is quite enough to really get it to that point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that's just on the active. And the reason that I bring this up is because in our last episode of Pog State, right, we talked about how when one player starts doing something, everyone just follows along, regardless of doing any research onto it. And
yeah, it's not like figuring out and coming up with like your own idea. It's
or just
more
using
like
math.
pack mentality. Yeah.
So this is a region, and not that it's always correct, but Liandry's is almost never built here compared to NALCS and LEC. It's just not an item that gets picked up that much outside of the traditional Liandry's users. You won't see Silas's building it. You won't see Akali's build it here by any means. So the celerity craze strikes me as really peculiar, especially because Rek'Sai doesn't actually use MS that much after she's unburrowed, which that's when you would be getting the Nimbus Cloak active, because you would burrow in and then come out and you're already auto-attacking and you're on top of the opponent. Well,
Yeah.
conversation for another time.
It is. And maybe a question for one of our Korean players, if we do get an opportunity to ask one. There is a ward here in this brush, but Tarzan's going to take this one away, and does get the flash out of Haru as well, because he'd tunneled in and didn't really want to be there in the end. And you can see Tarzan actually just controlling this jungle very, very well. I think we might have the king instead of George in this particular game thus far. So far, this Rek'Sai pick has gone a little wanting. As you can see, we've got Griffin basically pushing in everywhere. Even Sword keeping up very well with Cuvee despite missing that cannon creep. You can see Cuvee gets a decent trade there, but nothing to worry about too much for Sword on the top side. As Irov and Viper will be taking down this Rip Scuttler, and that is only going to propel Griffin further ahead, because Haru's not going to be able to head down there and pick that one up for himself. And the continued clear of the jungle is going to happen for Tarzan, unless he wants to take a detour to fight Cuvee here towards the top side. And Cuvee is actually going to start this fight off. Perfect timing in for Tarzan as Cuvee may need to flash. Sword relatively low, but there's absolutely no mana on Cuvee, and he is just dead. Not even going to elect to flash this one. Thought that he would die anyway, and I think that's pretty good thinking there from the top laner of Hanwha Life, but unfortunately, still going to be going down.
Yeah, this is going to be something here, as Hanwha Life now, they are going to be behind on the top side of the map. The Rumble going to get to reset for free. Sword picks up the Sork Pen boots. Viper casts an emote. Lehen's talking smack, and then Irove crying.
You don't do that, Lehens.
Yeah.
He's even going to hit him with a door. Don't want that.
Yeah, that's
you don't give him the
definitely
door. As we'll check out this gank once again. It's just really good timing from Tarzan, but unfortunate timing from Cuvee.
The thing is when Sword moves down like that, the jig's up. It really, Rumble would never do that in a million years without the jungler being in close proximity. The minion wave is too big. He's never going to take a trade against you because you have to view it through Rumble's lenses, right? Sylas has a really giant minion wave. Even though Sylas has no mana, Rumble's not interested in a fight there because Sylas will just run backwards and then Rumble's wasting a lot of time. So when Sword clicks down the way that he did, Cuvee should have been able to think, okay, well, jungler must be in close proximity here and maybe actually get away. But he took the extended trade, and Tarzan was there, realizing, wave's coming into my top laner, this is a good time to gank, and in doing so, punishes Cuvee.
Yeah. Hate to see it. But still, Griffin off to a great start in this game thus far. 500 gold is going to be their lead, so nothing to worry about too much for Hanwha Life, who do pick up that Drake, as you can see. That was to do with our lane priority being in bottom side and mid lane, and Griffin not really being interested in trying to defend that, apart from Tarzan being in the area. And so it wasn't able to be soloed or anything like that by Haru, but they're still able to lock that one down. Next one is going to be an Infernal Drake, as Ocean or Mountain Soul going to be our Drakes in finality here for today. And Griffin looking to try and get this 2-0 to finish off their LCK season. As, what was that? That wasn't a steal. I don't know. Haru did manage to pick that one up, right?
Yeah.
Quite see where the gold went.
So, I was lost sight as well. I was looking at the minimap. Generally, that's what I do. Do you know that? Do you know that I cast from the minimap?
I know. Papa used to do that too.
Really?
I talk about something, he's like, what's that?
I don't know if I'm one of the only... Well, no, I'll talk about it in a bit.
The equalizer comes down. Lava is in his shroud. And looking to try and escape here. Tarzan going down very, very low. There's the ulti, but it's not going to be enough. And Sword in here just burning things down. And we'll be able to wander on out, has that caster minion, try and keep him alive. As Griffin off to a brilliant start so far.
Yeah, Griffin is in a really commanding position here in this game yet again. And, you know, Sword's eating good tonight. That's what I gotta tell you. That Rumble cooked them up with the Jarvan in between those two turrets. And Griffin, they're just coasting in this game. And we mentioned that the Akali and the Sylas, they really come online in the mid stages of the game. The problem is now they're stifled. In addition to that, Griffin is accelerated. So it actually, it doubles the distance between the gap of both of these two parties. It's going to be near impossible, in my opinion, for Hanwha Life to ever bring this game back to salvageable, because their lanes are now always on the back foot, and things are always going to be so hard. Given that they're down in base XP, they're going to be down in levels. It just changes everything.
Yeah, as we're going to check out Yuka's perspective here for this one. He's able to take down a turret plate after hitting that bubble earlier on. But most of the action was happening with Tarzan and Sword.
His mouse is very clean. Very, very clean.
He's a very proficient mechanical player.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's always a pleasure. He used to stream on Twitch. I'm not sure if he still does. His mouse is very, very clean for a pro game. Plays very, very fast with it, but very precise and accurate. It's always nice to see the pro views. Wish we could see more, but unfortunately you need SK Telecom 5G in order to have pro view in the LCK.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I do want to answer some questions about playoffs, guys. There's been a few of these that have been floating around. Of course, a lot of T1 fans want to know why is it that T1, whilst sitting with even game score with Gen G and most likely DRX after their next series, why they are not in first place. And I can understand that. What does come into account as we're going to check out this particular battle towards the bottom side. Vista not going to take too much damage there as Fate's Call was employed, but not really utilized to its full effect. So I will go back to my point. Game score is important. So the amount of 2-0s that you win, and the amount of 1-2s that you manage to lose by, things like that, in the couple of losses that these teams do have, it is important as far as getting you up the standings, because if that plus game score number is above the other and you are tied in match score, you will be ahead. And Gen G have confirmed first place because of their extended gold game score. I actually recently saw a Reddit post asking whether there'll be a tiebreaker, and there will not be a tiebreaker because T1 have not won the amount of games that Gen G has. And therefore, that tiebreaker has been secured for Gen G.
All right.
Just in case anyone was confused.
Yeah. Maybe you should tweet that, Alice. Maybe that would, between the break, could do that.
All right. I can put some time into a tweety tweet about that one.
Not a big deal. Don't rush yourself. Take your time.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. Well, ward placed onto the golems, and Infernal Dragon going to be coming up in 15 seconds. And the way that all these lanes are going right now, Akali going to be very far away still from getting her Hextech Gunblade. Silas is going for the Proto Belt, so that's going to actually further increase his fall off in the later stages. So we're not going to... What?
Nothing. I just actually hiccuped.
Oh, I thought you laughed.
No.
Yeah, he's going to fall off so hard.
I didn't manage to pause it. Sorry, I'll mute myself.
Someone's going to trip him on the escalator.
had a bit of a hiccup moment. Yeah, these things happen. I'm a big fan of How to Train Your Dragon, so when I get the hiccups, I smile.
All right.
Well, this is another dragon. We'll see who's going to be taming this one, as Griffin are going to throw a pierce at it, but Viper's not actually interested in taking it down. He just wants to annoy it just a little bit. Not very nice, to be perfectly honest, but that's fine.
And
I'm alive clearing our vision, though.
Yeah, so I think what is going to happen here in this game is that the dragon should go the way of Griffin. Hanwha Life are grouped around it right now, but they're in a much worse position for this dragon fight. Aphelios is obviously quite good. Lava is over here as well. But the overall team fight should just go the way of Griffin.
That's if Griffin actually want to fight for it,
and
right?
look at Sword. This rotation, really good.
He's heading back up. Never you mind. But Lava is chunked, and so Griffin should have control of this area. Looks like they are still going to head down to this Drake, at least clearing out the vision that is available.
Now, I want to take a brief moment here to highlight that if they rotated down to that dragon and took the team fight, I think the Morello purchase would have been nice. Okay, because there would have been no better combat stats to probably get for that gold value and the passive versus the Akali, the Aphelios, and the Silas in that team fight alone. So it would help them get the Infernal Dragon and probably end up winning the fight. But if he's not going to rotate, the completion right now is a bit too early. Even though I think that he will end up getting it later on. Doesn't matter, Griffin's going to get the Infernal Dragon anyway. And not the end of the world.
And we're also going to have Cuvée going for a bit of a reset here. Throws down his own equalizer that he hijacked from Sword and clears out that mini wave. So a couple of plates going to go over there as Lava is in trouble and Yukal has just killed him. So sorry, it's a very cool looking skin.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. I like how Akali's...
Do you get a free death without actually, suffering from too much loss? If you have a Prestige Edition skin, I think that's how it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, we take a look at how this all happens here, and you see the Akali, she gets hit by the bubble, and right at the very end, she gets clapped.
렉사이 탑에 전령 깔려갈 수도 있겠다.
We'll listen in.
침착해도 되죠. 렉사이 전령 이번에 풀 것 같은데. 우리 안 급해. 쌀 노궁이라 밑에
노텔은 상태 안 좋아.
우리 이거까지 이거 먹을게 나는. 나 몰락 뜨고. 나이스. 나이스야. 뭔데? 뭔데
이거
이거?
미드
He said, what are
미드
you
타워
doing?
조금씩
Or like,
뺄만.
what is this?
우리 미드
Like, so, I mean, you know, UCal even a bit surprised. This happened yesterday with Summit, right? Where
Yeah.
I believe Summit was. Now my memory is blanking, but I believe that when the 1v1 happened, Summit was saying something.
Yeah, that was
similar.
against Nogari, wasn't
Yeah, against Nagari.
it? In the Lucian versus Jace situation, where it was Lucian down 0-2 against a 1-0-1 Jace, and he solo killed him. Yeah, that happened. And then I think there was one of those games where Nogari went on to win Player of the Game, and so in the interview was like, well, I got hard carried by my team. I didn't play very well. And in that particular moment, he certainly didn't. Outside of that, he was absolutely fine. Just the Nogari that we know and love, absolutely. And we'll be seeing him in the wildcard match coming up on Saturday. That is going to be yourself and Brendan Valdez. Good old LS, bringing us KT versus Damwon.
I'm in for the ride now.
Oh, yeah.
I will be here for every game for the future from here on out. So that is a thing. It's gonna be every
Apart
other
from
day.
the first promotion tournament match,
Yes.
which is going to be Valdez and I.
Yes,
And
the
we're bringing back
Valdanalyst.
the double play-by-play Valdanalyst Bronze 5 in for that one. Very excited, as we'll be able to check out what our new challenger teams are going to be able to offer potentially to the LCK, as this Griffin squad feel like they are powering up towards the end of the season. To be honest, they looked a little bit hopeless towards the end of round 1 and beginning of round 2, but now they have been putting some wins under their belt, and it's not entirely hopeless. Still, definitely not the season that Griffin wanted to have, as they were regular season kings. It only took the end of the regular season for Griffin to really lose too many pivotal games, and often they were pretty crushing defeats at the hands of T1 generally, or KT, if you remember back to the 2018 summer final. That was a 5-game slugfest, absolutely fantastic to watch. But since then, it has been all about T1, or SKT at the time, just slaughtering, to be honest. They've been very good at finals, and we'll see whether they're going to continue to do that, whether they come from 3rd place or from 2nd place. And DRX will be able to tell us exactly where T1 are going to be landing after the APK series that is going to be coming up next. As we might have a telecom war for our 2nd round, which is going to be really exciting.
And I think the thing about this for the telecom war is that KT has had such a Cinderella story here in the LCK, where they've been really ramping up and showing a lot of power in recent weeks, and that's what's going to make this actually really exciting, because it's the biggest turnaround that I think we've seen a team have in the LCK in the last 2 years, in terms of going from literal bottom standing, and KT was bottom standing last year as well, to now being potentially top 3 even, maybe, depending on what day it is. Maybe
Well,
the LCK.
I mean, based on what week it is, I think they've looked like the better team pretty consistently. I believe they fell in their most recent match to Gen G, unfortunately for them. As I will just double check that to make sure I have that one correct. Because, yeah, Gen G were able to take down KT 2-1. But after that first game, it really did feel like they were the better team. As Lava's going to flash, but Yukao's going to kill him anyway. This mid lane is well and truly over. We haven't seen a lane get hard stomped like this for a really long time. I mean, Yukao's basically just playing solo queue right now, and really having a good time up against this Akali. As another bubble's going to land. No damage going to come in there, as Lehens is going to be absolutely fine.
And well, Mountain Dragon is live on the map, so it should be Griffin picking this one up. It's going to be really rough. Okay, well, even through that Braum Shield, Lehen's taking enormous amounts of damage. Now, Griffin, they're going to get this Mountain Drake for free. Let's just pay
This
attention.
might die. Okay, Ignite goes down, Exhaust down as well. How many summoner spells can you cast on this Aphelios? There's no more ticks of that Ignite. Calculated down to, what was that, like 15 health?
Yeah, that was a really close call. That was a extremely close call there for Vista on the Aphelios. As, did Rek'Sai just dance in front of minions and let them die?
He just sort of sat there and watched as that minion was definitely going to die to the turret, and there was no way that the Rek'Sai was going to be able to get 2 auto attacks in time, I don't think. as Haru's going to be able to take down his red buff, and thankfully that one isn't going to be taken by the turret, as Bubble lands here once again.
Yep.
And Yukal just pretty good at killing lava this game.
Yeah. Doing a lot here on this Zoe. Viper dancing around as Kalista up here in the top lane. And
yeah, see how Viper's going to go throughout the rest of this game. Again, he's ahead of the clock at 20 minutes in. His CSD numbers certainly fantastic as we're ticking towards a 5,000 gold lead for Griffin. This is feeling like it's not close whatsoever, and I don't know whether this has to do with potentially some tilt coming in for Hanwha Life after that pause, after the little mess up, as we've got a teleport coming through, and Hanwha are going to try and find something here as Viper not going to utilize the flash just yet, and it's a little bit too late to do so after he did. As Sword, he's teleported in, but not going to be able to find anything as the rest of his team a little bit late on the rotation. So Hanwha get themselves a free pick, but what can they actually do with it is the question, and the answer is nothing, because there's 3.5 minutes on the next Drake, and the Baron is not going to be taken at 20 minutes in.
And you see in this game here that Griffin, they're still in a commanding lead. Hanwha Life is trying to resort to smoke and mirrors now to come back in this game. That's really going to be the only outlet, because they're essentially playing 4 versus 5. So really deep teleport ward, and Viper should have gone south. I believe he could have maybe met with Jarvan and Zoe. Perhaps that would have been a little bit more reliable, because he had minions to buffer, so it's not like the turret shots would have ended up hitting him. But
and he
did back up, natural instinct.
Well.
Yeah. Ended up dying, but it's still a 4,500 gold lead for them. And like I was saying, it's essentially a 4 versus 5, because what the heck is Rek'Sai doing in this game? She's never going to be able to engage. Even when she does, she's running into targets that are going to be pretty durable and tanky, or she can't stay on top of because she has no damage whatsoever. So another thing that I wanted to point out is that because of the Sylas and the Akali being present inside of this game, Rek'Sai building the Kindle Gem and going into the Black Cleaver strikes me as a bit peculiar. Now, Sylas and Akali, they do auto-attack a lot, so it's not like they're not utilizing physical damage. Akali does also have the Hextech Gunblade there, but would Lethality Rek'Sai just being more supportive with Umbral Glaive clearing out vision, going for Lethality so that Rek'Sai herself can deal more damage as the initial burst, would that end up being more useful? That ends up being a question. Griffin, they're just sitting so pretty right now inside of this game.
I think one thing in favor of the Black Cleaver is the fact that Aphelios is going to be 100% of Hanwha Life's late game win condition. I don't think that with Cuvée and Lava being put behind by this much early on in the game, I don't think they're going to be able to contribute. And like you were saying, they are going to decay as this game goes on. I think Aphelios being that late game carry is going to be very important, as Sword, Scrap Shield going to eat up all of that hijack equalizer. And just some turrets, some tunnels being eaten by Tarzan as he gets himself out.
Well, just going to have some ping pong going on here inside the lanes. He has 1 minute until the Mountain Dragon will end up coming up.
Going to be Mountain Soul for Griffin, as the only Drake that Hanwha have been able to take is that Forgotten Cloud Soul that Griffin are probably pretty happy isn't on them, because that's eating up a dragon slot that could have been a worthwhile dragon. As that bubble was Bit Troll from Yukal, who's having a fantastic game so far, doing 5 times the amount of damage as the Akali on the opposite side of the Rift. He's over 60 CS in the lead, and just having a brilliant game. Sword's going to make his way up here. He has the equalizer available. Has 24 seconds until this Mountain Drake, and Griffin are looking a little bit feisty to make sure that they can win a team fight at the right time. And Yukal is well and truly at the power level where if he lands one of these bubbles, it really can guarantee that ulti is okay. Cuvée does have the Cosmic Radiance that he stole out of the way, but he's not going to be able to utilize it there as he goes golden. But there's the Cosmic Radiance, the real one on the side of Griffin, as Tarzan inside the Cataclysm. But he's not too worried. This game is over, ladies and gentlemen. Lava's going to dash his way out. And Griffin say, well, we could go for a Mountain Drake, but instead we're just going to take a Baron.
Yeah, so it actually looks like this creates the opportunity for Akali to do something, but now that she's going to be spotted, the enemy knows that she's not going to try to go for some sort of like a solo dragon or anything like that. So Griffin, they're going to turn their attention now towards the Baron. This is game over here, Atlas, as the scoreline 1-9. It's going to be 2 Mountain Drakes and an Infernal on the side of Griffin, with also a much better team composition. So, the Akali and the Sylas, they were set really far behind in the early stages of the game, never got to come online in this Hail Mary team fight. They do a Braum ultimate onto the... they're using the Tarek ultimate, they get no value out of it, and then Tarek says, let me show you how it's really done, as he casts it himself. And just look at all the time that Tarzan buys on the left-hand side, because Aphelios is the only source of damage on the Hanwha Life team composition. They have no answer for Kalista, no one can stay on top of her, and look at even some of the magic resistance on the side of Griffin. It is invalidating the Sylas and the Akali, and Sylas is a champion. Doesn't tend to build a lot of penetration. He tends to build more utility AP items, so they're not packing the biggest of punches. And here in the LCK, we like to go Luden Proto Belt. Leandri's not even going to be there for the Madness passive, amplifying his damage and whatnot instead of these super extended trades. The game's just gone at this point. Griffin, light years ahead. About maybe 200.
Yeah. And he's building towards Zhonya's next item, so focusing, like you were saying, on that utility, survivability, but not really very much damage. So that decaying Sylas situation is exactly what we're faced with. There is one burning face. Of course, Rumbles here in the LCK still love to build the Leandris, and Sword is going to do exactly that. He did sin with his Forbidden Book, but that's totally fine. Now has himself the Leandris and the Void Staff, so a lot of damage potential, and when it comes to penetration, he has got the ultimate setup for that one. Griffin now just going to be able to take down the inhibitor turret in the mid lane. It looks like Hanwha Life just going to let it happen. And I'm not entirely sure whether they have any choice, as Haru's going to burrow away from that bubble, and this inhibitor is going to die. Griffin now moving towards the bottom side that Sword had prepared earlier. It's got a couple of siege minions here. And so Griffin, if they can get in here, should be able to get some work done as Yukao comes down, doesn't find the paddle star, but lands the bubble. As now Cuvee going to get blocked off. Equalizer comes down, and there's the Cosmic Radiance. Lava trying to get out of there. Did have the Shroud down. But Griffin, there is an Equalizer they have to deal with, but it's not really doing any damage at all. And they will take down this inhibitor as well on the bottom side of the map. Really just seems like there is zero answer from Hanwha.
Well, that is going to be 2 inhibitors going down 3.5 minutes until the mountain. So if Griffin wanted to be really captain careful, they could wait. They could just wait, pick up, stopwatch on Rumble, start moving towards Anya's Hourglass, get a stopwatch even on the Zoe, play as defensive as humanly possible. They would just probably ride out the game. As Kali Star is looking like she's going to end up getting a Maul of Malmortius. And there's not really too much for anyone on the side of Hanwha Life to do. If you are a Hanwha Life fan and you're trying to put on rose-tinted glasses on top of rose-tinted glasses, take them off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what is going to be the follow-up here. Like, how do you win as Hanwha from this point? It's like, oh, maybe we can hope for a disconnect on the other side. But I don't know whether that is going to be something that you can really put your cards in, because it's likely that gets solved with a Chrono Break anyway. But yeah, I mean, outplays do happen, but it's just not likely to happen this game, as Yukao portaling over a wall, takes a turret shot, doesn't care. And we are 2.5 minutes away from a Mountain Drake, but I have a feeling we are less than that amount of time away from the end of the game, so it is fairly irrelevant. This inner turret is going to fall. We are going to tick over that 10,000 gold mark point, and it's 28 minutes into the game. The acceleration here for Griffin is just obscene. And even a redemption to come down. Lava trying to dance around in his shroud, but now it's going to be on cooldown. Lehens is just dead. Didn't really have much that he could actually hope to achieve there, as now Yukao dashing forward, doesn't land the bubble under Vista, but he has to go back to the fountain. There are 3 members that can even try to affect this situation, and I don't even think that it's going to be possible, as there are super minions moving towards these Nexus turrets. The first one is going to go down. The last-ditch fight is going to come in, but look at the damage potential. It's just insane, as Tarzan going to flash out of his own his own Cataclysm, as Lava is trying to do anything to save this game. He goes golden, yeah, and the emote spam is real, as it's going to be Viper that takes him down. I've already given my POG vote over to Yukao. I did that at about 15 minutes into the game. He played phenomenally. He made sure that Hanwha had absolutely no access from the mid lane to do anything, and Griffin on great footing moving towards the promotion tournament.
Yeah, Griffin are looking really strong in this series, and the thing is about both the teams that are going into the promotion tournament, unlike Jin Air last year, who I did say that I thought that they were favored going into the promotion tournament, as weird as that was.
Yeah.
I really do feel like Griffin and Sandbox, Summit, I just think he's going to have his way against whoever he ends up going up against in the promotion. And I think Griffin is stable enough with all of their players that they won't falter as well. So even I have high hopes for Sandbox and Griffin to remain steadfast and manage to be here in LCK Summer.
Well, it's actually really interesting because two of the top laners that could potentially be there at the moment, the top of the challenger scene is Brion Blade and Cerebral Gaming. Yeah. Cerebral have Tal on the top side of the map, of course, the OG Trundle God himself, formerly a T1 top laner back in the day. And on the other side, on Brion Blade, it's Wiser, who's like, he's been sort of this player that everyone's spoken about for a really long time, and certainly does have some skills. So topside is actually going to be really, really fun in that promotion tournament, because you've got Griffin that don't really care about topside of the map. Of course, this game, Sword had a decent performance, but they have mostly role players. But it is about Summit against the rest of the competition, and Wiser versus Summit actually sounds like a really fun matchup. As well as Tal as well, trying to get back into the LCK alongside Kakao and Sangyun and Nova. Like, this is a lot of players that feel like they should be in the LCK now, trying to fight back in, but we'll just see whether they can actually do that, or whether they're even going to be able to qualify, because of course, just beneath them is going to be Team Dynamics, as you have to make a POG vote. He's going to give it to UCal. You're going to give it to UCal, right?
Completely blanked on that. My apologies. G-Sun Atlas was just sending me to Nirvana with his language. He's linguist supreme, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I had to do. You know, sometimes you got to sell a promo tournament. Not a lot of people think it's the most exciting thing, but I think this year it's fun. Not only is it the last one that we have in the LCK, but it's also going to be very important for a lot of these teams, as there's a few particular rune choices that were pretty important for that particular moment also.
Yeah. I'm going to actually look into Celerity between the break. Might see a tweet about it. I think I got a new thing to mauled over.
You've picked another one?
Different, new month.
Yeah.
I'm just contrarian, you know. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, no. All right, well, in the highlights here, UCal having a phenomenal performance on the Zoe. Unfortunate death for Viper up here as well. This was the team fight that really sealed the fate in. Valiant effort by Hanwha Life, but it just didn't, they were way too far behind at this point. So Viper said, I rove, I choose you. Lehens sheds a tear as he would end up falling down 0-2. This is honestly, it's one of the biggest anime betrayals.
It is. But this is what happens when you leave the crew. You know, sometimes the crew is gonna fight back after that, and that's exactly what happened to Lehens. That being said, Lehens doesn't have to fight in the promotion tournament. Hanwha Life are going to sign out for now. It's going to be a while before we see them back for summer. Still have to get through playoffs, get through the promotion tournament here for Sandbox and Griffin, and Hanwha are going to have a bit of a time to wait, as they're going to be alongside APK and Afrika, who also both get some time out as well.
미드 쪽으로.
Mid, go through mid.
내 궁이랑 럼블공 깎아.
그냥 상대가 들어올 때까지 기다려.
칼리공 뺐었다 얘네.
그냥 타워 치면서 타워.
그냥 칼리공 뺐을게. 럼블공. 천천히.
Rumble ult, go slow.
야 죽여.
Die.
Wow.
원숭이. 아 1대스 했다. 좋아요.
Lots of emotes being spammed
이겼는데
here.
기쁘지 않지 왜? 아 되게.
시간 좀 가자.
Nice. And that is going to be a lot of Zoe damage, as UCal is going to definitely pick up player of the game. And we'll be able to check in with Griffin after this one as well. Viper and UCal will be able to get our expectations going for this promotion tournament as their last words were "Let's go relegation." I don't know whether that is exactly what you want to be saying, but maybe it's a translation issue and doesn't quite tell the full story of what they're talking about. But this is certainly going to help them as far as their confidence is concerned moving into that tournament. As right now, I'm actually just checking in with Challenger's career. Their last day is actually happening right now, as Breon Blade are taking on Cerebral Gaming. This is teams 1 and 2 in the league, a battle for first place. Actually a pretty high matchup, as we do have Cerebral Gaming up 1-0 over Breon Blade and are currently 6-1 in kill score, 3,000 gold in the lead at 12 minutes in. So it's looking like a pretty comfy 2-0, to be perfectly honest. And some of the compositions are really cool. We've got Camille top, we've got Gragas support. Really cool things going on. So if you guys want to check out in the break, we are going to have 30 minutes before our next match, which is going to be APK versus DRX. Certainly a more important match when it comes to actual outcomes. But in that meantime, you can certainly go and check out Cerebral Gaming versus Breon Blade and see how that series is going to go, as UCal picks up a very comfortable player of the game.
Yeah, UCal does manage to pick up the Pog here, as he had a really nice performance here today on the Zoe. 600 points for him. He matches Viper, and 49.2%. Could have been 50, honestly, if he just worked a little bit harder, Atlas.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes they're not playing for how impressed LS is going to be. I was personally impressed with the fact that Lava, before dying right there, was able to pick up all of the minions. That is really important. As this time, not so impressed. See, that's 4 that just go begging.
That was all just solo. These were a lot of just solo isolated kills that probably
felt like solo queue, right?
Yeah, it really. This game felt very solo queue-esque. This was an extremely solo queue-esque game. The random team fight in mid lane, K-ramming it up,
and double 9 out of 9s. Very obvious players of the game this time around. As Viper and UCal are going to have that conversation with Sunke and Cloud Templar and Kunkui alongside him, as we'll hear from them very, very soon. In fact, right now. So let's pass it over to Jason for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Season with the interview translation, and let's hear from Viper and Yuka from Griffin. So, you guys took down Hanwha Esports, a team that defeated LCK first, second, and third team. How do you feel, guys?
그래도
Well,
승리해서 굉장히 기쁘고요.
happy that we won, especially that we took down Hanwha Esports. And Yuka?
네, 저희 원래는 하나생명을 승강전에 같이 끌고 가고 싶었는데
we wanted to drag Hanwha Esports with us together down to the relegations, but this was the last match before the promotion tournament, so I'm happy that we pulled off a very good performance. Yeah, you guys actually were confirmed to the relegation, so how was preparation go? What was the mindset that you guys having for this game? I mean, what happened is what happened, so we want to do our best. So we just, all 5 players were preparing really hard and show good results, and I'm happy that we were able to really pull it off. And what about you, Yuka?
어차피 뭐 승강전 가게 된 건 가게 된 거고.
Yeah, what happened is what happened.
경기력을 만들어서 좋은
we were heading to the relegation, so I just want to come back stronger to the relegations tournament, so I'm happy that we actually made it. Yuka, your voice is quite deep today.
몇 번 안 해봐서 그런 것 같아요.
I mean, it has been a while since I had this interview. So I have a question for you, Viper. So in a recent match, Lihan said, like, farewell, Viper. All by yourself, I'll be watching from home. Is that true? Is that true that Lihan's messaged you like that? What's your reply?
같이 가고 싶었는데
I wanted to go down together, but he just like ditched me, so sad. I mean, you guys are really close friends, right? And so, I want to ask you about the IG emote spam. What was the behind story about that?
저는 18년도에 IG를
I was
했는데
spamming the
나머지 그리핀
2018
친구들은
IG,
다 19년도에
but the rest of the Griffin players were actually having the 2019 IG.
띄움으로써 조금 더
So
승부욕을
we wanted to get more motivation by having the emotes of the team that took us down last year or the 2 years before. We thought you guys were saying this was so easy, so you guys put the IG spam. I guess it was more like a meaningful and motivation emotes. And indeed, you guys looked really serious all throughout the game today. Listening to the mic check. So how do you rate your Zoe performance today?
지금까지 생각해봤을 때는 뭐 10점
Well,
만점에 9점 되는 것 같아요.
Thinking of all the Zoe performance so far, I want to give 9 out of 10. Viper, what's your thought on his Zoe? I mean, I agree with him. And Viper, we want to ask you about your Varus. You are the real Viper, doing so much damage. 5-3 record. So your Viper, your Varus is on 100% pick and ban rate in the current patch.
되게 좋은 챔피언인 것
I
같습니다.
think Varus
어느
is
상황에서나
really a champion right now.
활용할 수 있고
This
다
champion fits in any kind of
네,
situation.
슈퍼셉니다.
It's easy and it's strong. Then how do you rate your own performance on that
10점
champion?
만점에 저도 9점 주겠습니다.
9 out of 10. You call. What was that reaction about?
인정해줄만 것 같네요.
Well, I mean, I admit it. Definitely today's performance deserves 9 out of 10. So you guys are heading down to the promotion tournament. So what is the mindset going to that tournament?
뭐 어차피 가게 된 거.
I mean, we had to get down there, so we will prepare as if we are preparing for the finals.
네, 승강전 이제 승리도 물론이고 저희
Well,
부족한
I mean,
경기력 많이
We definitely need to get a win, and also we will do our best to show improved performance in that tournament. But I mean, a lot of fans are actually thinking that Griffin is going back to the old form. And a lot of fans are really amazed by the performance you guys pulled off today. So any last message you would like to say to your fans? Finishing the final match of the regular split.
아무래도 팀의 이제 중심이다 보니까.
Well, Viper is the oldest member of his team, so I wanted to start off.
어찌저찌해서 이게 승강전 가게 됐는데
Well, somehow we ended up going down to the relegation, so we want to win, we want to survive, and we want to come back stronger in the next split. We want to work on all the weakness of our team and come back as a solid team. Thank you for all the support. Today was not an easy day and a hard match for Griffin, but still you guys managed to pull off a really good performance. So this will be the end of the interview with Viper Yukal from Griffin, and I'm going to pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ji-Sun, for your interview translation. As per usual, great to hear from Viper and Yukal on the eve of their promotion debut. Once again, of course, they did play one promotion tournament, but that was when they made it into the LCK, and now they're back there again after a couple of years with some pretty dominant performances. So a little bit sad to see how the Mighty have fallen, but still is going to be a place where Griffin aren't too unfamiliar with, and we'll see whether they can get back out again. As we're going to move into a pretty exciting match for our last one of the regular season, as DRX are now going to be taking on APK. But having a look, this is how things stand at the end. 6-12 for Hanwha Life. As they finish off the season, APK will retain that 6th place. As if APK win, they will be able to go up to 6th and be those gatekeepers that Hanwha Life had been for so many years. But it's ultimately not going to mean anything for them. They're just playing spoiler to save all of you T1 fans that want T1 to get that 2nd place here in the LCK.
Yep.
I personally think that if T1 are in 3rd, as a T1 fan, you should be excited because you get one extra match with T1 in it.
There you go. That's the silver lining.
Yeah,
that is exactly. I mean, and also my post-draft prediction score, it gets hit even harder. because I gotta go through another T1 series. They absolutely cripple me in that. Okay, so match 90 coming up next. DRX versus APK. Game 1 is super important. APK wins, nothing else matters.
Yeah, exactly.
But if DRX
Actually,
wins,
any victory for APK, and it's all over for DRX. Their chances at second place are just not going to be there. So, ladies and gentlemen, after the short break, we will come back to see whether DRX can lock down second place. We'll